welcome to Hair Metal Revolution. Well, I gotta shut that down. I will be doing a weekly live show on this channel, and this channel is about being honest. This is what the whole channel is about: being honesty, no lies, no nothing, no trying to sugarcoat anything out there. This is about truth. All right. So if you want honesty, come to my channel. Now, today's title, because I've always been getting a lot of emails and texts. People are asking me, "Hey, Eric, do you think Jon Bon Jovi turned his back on hair metal?" I constantly get that question. What's my feelings on Jon Bon Jovi? You know, the Richie Sambora deal, his latest album, Legendary. You know, why does he not recognize the era that made him? So people are asking me questions about this. So what I'm about to tell you is my pure opinion, not fact. Some stuff I'm going to tell you is fact, but this is my opinion on the subject. Did Jon Bon Jovi turn his back on hair metal? So in my opinion, he turned his back on hair metal since the 90s. When John saw not the downfall, when he saw the music companies, MTV, changing their format to more fit bands like Nirvana, Pearl Jam. I don't want to put Alice in Chains in there because they're a fantastic band. Alice in Chains has always been, to me, one of the more real bands out of Seattle, which I actually live in Seattle. So in the 90s, yes, John basically turned his back, and since he always had that perfect smile, the perfect face, the studio is kind of like, okay, we'll take you along, no problem, we'll let you transfer, So yes, he did in a lot of ways. That's why sometimes if I play clips where Stephen Pearcy, was talking about the bands in the 80s and he kind of like overshadowed, like, Bon Jovi, it's because Bon Jovi turned their back on all those bands from the 80s. It's a fact. So let's look here. Let's look at their album sales. Let's look at a little bit of a history, and we'll kind of break some things down. So some of the interesting things that I have learned, looking at the album sales of Bon Jovi, even in the first place, I would have actually thought that Slippery When Wet would have been their highest selling album. But according to this, it's actually New Jersey that sold more than Slippery When Wet. And then their greatest hit album sold more than Slippery When Wet. That's kind of interesting, And then when Bon Jovi started to see how music scene was changing, he cut his hair, changed his sound. He came out with Keep the Faith. What, it was a all right album. Then Crush, and then you kind of see how the sales been dropping, and of course now nobody really buys albums because you can stream it all. But you can see over the years how the album sales has dropped, and ever since Richie Sambora has left the band, I mean their sales are just like not even existing anymore, really. Now if you ask my honest opinion, was I even a big, huge Bon Jovi fan? And to be honest with you guys, I was never a huge Bon Jovi fan. I liked their music. I respected them. But I wasn't like, oh my God, Bon Jovi's coming to town. I gotta go. Let's get in the car. Let's go on a road trip. It wasn't like that with Bon Jovi. Motley Crue, those bands, we got in the car. We got drunk in the back of a truck. I shouldn't say that because, we were in high school, Those were like events. Bon Jovi was never an event for me. I always thought the band had way too much keyboards in it. Even from, if anybody ever asked me, Eric, what's your favorite Bon Jovi album? And I'm going to be honest with you. My favorite album is 7,800 Degree Fahrenheit. Why? It's sold a lot less than those other albums. It's because it was more rock versus the other albums. I'm not into that New Jersey so many keyboards type of deal, because everybody knows that Jon won't come out and say it. Jon has always wanted to be Bruce Springsteen. He really did. He has. He's not going to tell you that, but he always looked at himself on the same par as Bruce. The thing is, and Bruce, it's all rock, but Bruce is a certain kind of a rock, and he was more arena rock, which is not bad. But I was never fully into, like, I know everybody loves Slipping When Wet. I thought it was a decent album, but again, sometimes I wonder, Jon, for whatever you think of him, if you like him or you don't, the man's a genius businessman. He's a genius businessman. I mean, he truly is. Let me show you guys this, how true of a musician, as a businessman. I'm talking about as a businessman. So let me pull up this screen for you guys here. Let me see here. Okay. Let me see here. I don't know why I have something here. I had things in order here. Here we go. All right, here we go. This is the one I want. So basically, Jon Bon Jovi owns and controls his property related to the Bon Jovi's name and brand, including the band's recording, touring, merchandising, through the entertainment empire he has built around it. So he's a very highly intelligent businessman, a lot like Bret Michaels, where Bret Michaels of Poison owned his music, his rights from the beginning. Bon Jovi, he owns everything. In fact, a lot of people assumed that the band all share ownership of the name. A lot of people assume that, and that is just not true. That is not true at all. Now, the only thing that the band really has ownership of here, let me go over here for a second. Not that one. Okay. So basically, the only thing they really own rights, like Richie Sambora wrote a lot of the songs, right? So any songs that a member writes on, they get credit for that. They get money for that. They don't get money for the name Bon Jovi, but they get the money from like the songs they write and whatever deal he's made. Because a lot of people forget that Bon Jovi started before the current band that you know. Yeah. Before the current band that he knows here. When he wrote the song, hold on a second. Okay, when he wrote the song Runaway, yes, on the debut album, it's the band that you know. But when he first did the song, the people who were on that original song was Hugh McDonald, bass player, Tom Pierce, guitar player, Frankie LaRocca on drums, and Roy Bittan on keyboards. That was the original people he got together to help him record the song Runaway, which he used to get it on the radio, and he was able to use that to get a record contract. So Jon got the record contract on his own. He didn't get it with the band that you know of from the 80s. He got it from these guys. So when he got the contract deal, he put the band together. Of course, got his best friend on the keyboards, and he got Ricky Sambora. Why is that important? Because he already owned the name of the rights of the song. So basically, of the band. So basically, in a weird way, they were higher hands. They were higher hands because he already had the contract. He already had his name of the band. So they basically they're rich beyond belief, but majority of the money goes to Jon because he owns the name of Bon Jovi from the beginning, even before he got the band members that you know. The original song, Runaway, was Other Guys. And I'm going to be honest with you, I was never a big fan of that debut album. it was never. I don't know. I know a lot of people love the song "Runaway." I actually don't. I don't like those keyboards. I just I don't know. Was it a New Jersey sound? I mean, I don't know, but again, now remember, John. I'll tell you why else John was a smart businessman. He didn't get the sales that he wanted with the album 7,800 Fahrenheit. He didn't get the sales that he wanted. Now he says it's because the studio rushed him to make the album in a certain amount of time, which a lot of bands have done that. Kiss has made 2 albums a year, and those 70s Kiss albums were the best albums they've ever done. So sometimes I think it's just talk when a singer says, we were rushed, you had your whole life do the debut album, but we only had this amount of time. Sometimes your best work is when your back is against the wall. All right. So, for a second, I'm going to repeat this. Red Leader is 100% correct. When Skid Row made their first debut album, the deal they made to be able to go on tour with Bon Jovi was they got a huge amount of royalties. Huge amount of royalties. And you guys gotta remember, the Snake and John grew up together on the same block. They grew up together, which Snake used to do some guitar stuff with John before he got his band together for the debut album. So to the point where Sebastian Bach got so pissed off, I said, no, I don't want to give, we're giving all our money that we're supposed to be getting because we created the debut album and it's going to Bon Jovi. Richie Sambora did the right thing and actually gave up the rights that they created to deal with Skid Row. So Skid Row can have, their money back that they earned. And I think John finally did the same thing, but it took the courage of Richie Sambora says, you know what, Sebastian Bach, you guys are correct. We are basically robbing you. Your hard work and all Bon Jovi had to do was put them as an opening act. So I'm glad, Red. I'm glad you brought that up because that is true. Now, a good friend Joseph wrote, Bon Jovi was never metal. They were more like a top 40 hit band. Joseph, I'm not going to disagree with you on that. That's why I said I was never a huge Bon Jovi fan. I respected some of their songs because a lot of people don't even realize this. When John was disappointed in the sales, who cares? Well, if you don't care, why the fuck are you here? No offense, Harry. If you don't give a shit, fucking leave. I'm not here to pamper you. I'm sorry. I started to sound mean like that, but I hate when fucking people come to your live show and the title is right there in the subject and they got to come like, who cares? If you don't care, get the fuck out. Stay out. Sorry to say that, but damn. Let me see. Bon Jovi's opening for Rat was the first concert back in 1985. Wow. Who wants my autograph? Yeah. So, yeah. And I know a lot of people said that Bon Jovi blew Rat off the stage. When a lot of people are in love with the band, they always say that band blew away the headlining act. That doesn't really happen just because the headlining act has the big stage. Unless they're all backed out on drugs, an opening act, they don't really blow out the main band because they have the whole stage to fireworks and all that. So, but people used to tell me, I saw Rat live, and the opening act that I actually saw when I saw Rat was Dancing on the Cover Tour, and Poison was the opening act for them. Poison was great. Poison sounded fantastic, but I'm never gonna say Poison blew out Rat because Rat had the bigger stage, had the bigger show, bigger lights. I mean, come on. So, new listener here. Did you get your name from Cinderella? Love Cinderella. my friend Brown, anybody who knows me, my friend Danny Staton would tell you that I've been doing YouTube for 5-6 years, not necessarily on the music channel. I had another channel, and my nickname for the host was Gypsy Road. I had a channel that used to be called Gypsy Road. It was just a name that stuck, and so even when I created Hair Metal Revolution, a lot of my friends from my other channel remember me as Gypsy Road, so they call me it. So that's the nickname, Gypsy Road. And I have a long history with the band Cinderella. Cinderella Night Songs. Remember, I grew up in the 80s. I was a teenager. I was a young teenager. The first album I ever bought in my whole life, my own hard cash that I bought, was Cinderella Night Songs. So I have my heart and soul with the band Cinderella forever. And Gypsy Road, I drive all night to see the light. You know what I mean? It's just the title that means I'm going to move forward until you see that light. So Cinderella will always have a special place in my heart. And of course, I think Bon Jovi, John, actually helped them to get discovered, to be to get a contract deal, which technically Gene Simmons saw Cinderella first, but Gene Simmons wanted to do a contract deal with Cinderella, but to use the songs that Gene wrote. And Tom Kiefer is like, no, because he apparently read the lyrics and then, no, I don't like it. And that was the best decision Tom Kiefer ever made, because if you let someone else write your songs, that's where the money is, writing the songs. Now, getting back to Bon Jovi with Slippery When Wet, when he wanted more album sales, when the album wasn't selling that awesome, he hired Desmond Child. Okay, he hired Desmond Child. Desmond Child wrote, along with the band, the album Slippery When Wet. So I always wonder if Jon Bon Jovi never hired Desmond Child to help him write hit songs, would they even be where they're at? That's the question, right? And I don't know that answer. Would John be John? Would Bon Jovi be Bon Jovi without hiring Desmond Child to help him write the songs, write the hits? And I wonder, if he didn't, was John talented enough to write those hits to be as big as the album was? I guess that's something we'll never, ever going to know. But that's just, for the record, him and Richie Sambora wrote those songs with Desmond Child, who wrote songs for everybody. It's almost like, I love Def Leppard, but would Def Leppard have been Def Leppard without Mutt Lange, the producer? It's hard to know. It's you know what I mean? It's you just don't know. Bon Jovi is definitely hair metal, but soft enough and good enough to dominate the radio. See, that's the thing. When you think of hair metal, see, I know the channel is called Hair Metal Revolution, but I love all music. I believe all music is basically rock and roll. Some are soft, some are hard. All music, punk rock, speed metal, everything comes down to the middle word, rock and roll. So it's all rock. That's why some people get mad. Why are you putting Megadeth on your channel? Because it's all rock and roll. The reason I call the channel Hair Metal Revolution is because I'm not afraid of the name. I am not one of those people say, oh, hair metal, that's an evil thing. You can't like that. I'm like, fuck you. I love it. So I call the channel Hair Metal just to basically tell people I love this music. I love the 80s. I love the 80s, 90s, and 70s. I love it. I am not afraid of whatever type of name. The word heavy metal was meant to make fun of bands like Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Kiss, Aerosmith. Heavy metal was a word that was used to be like an evil saying. And then they went from that, and then they went to hair metal, glam rock. It's all fucking rock and roll. But now the thing is about John, when you look at the image, John was the leader of that image look. Oh, he was. Motley Crue wasn't. Motley Crue wore leather. They were like Kiss in a way, like costumes, Wasp costumes. You know what I mean? John. Now I know people are gonna say, well, Poison, Cinderella. No. Okay. Yeah, they came out in '86. But John was the one who kind of pushed that look, because even Twisted Sister didn't look like Pretty Boys. So John created that look, and I just didn't respect when they went in the 90s and they kind of like the 80s never happened. The 80s never happened. Even though it was the 80s that made him a star. So I never respected John for turning his back on the music scene that made him who he is. If he likes it or not, it made him. It made him. I appreciate acknowledging. Stephen Piercy in an interview a while back says, "I like the name hair metal." He didn't care. That's what I want to hear. Like, you want to call it hair metal? Who cares? I don't care. It's all rock and roll. I wish John could come out and say, "Yeah, I loved it. I loved the time. You want to call it whatever you want. It was a time that made me. It made who he was. It made his empire. Embrace it." I love when bands embrace who they are, what made them. If you were a punk band, say you're a punk. Don't be embarrassed. Oh, we started punk, but, we got more. No, appreciate the genre that made you and never run from it and never hide from it. Now, I'm going to be honest here with you guys. I'm going to be honest here with a lot of you guys. A lot of people ask me, what do you think of Bon Jovi's last album, Legend? And I'm going to be honest here. I did listen to it. I don't like it. I don't like the last music he's been doing, especially when Richie Sambora left the band. And I'm not here to say who was right or wrong when Richie Sambora left the band. Everything that I studied about the band, Richie Sambora made the right decision. I'm not saying he did it the right way, but I do not blame Richie Sambora for leaving the band. When you got somebody who really he is the leader of the band because he owns it, but was really being more controlling now. So I don't blame Richie for ever leaving the band. The way he did it, he could have done it better. I'll agree with that. But now the question is, should John tour? Now, first of all, we don't know if he's ever going to really tour because, his voice was all fucked up. We all know John had that surgery and, if his voice gets better. This is the thing. If John's voice never gets even close back to where it was, for him to go back and tour, him and Richie Sambora needs to make up. Because this is just my opinion. If Jon Bon Jovi goes out on stage and he only has half the voice that he has, but if he uses Richie Sambora, the man who's loved by the fans, to help him sing the other 50% of the voice they kind of lost, it would be accepted. I guarantee it would be accepted. Yes, I know there's a lot of great singers, backup singers he could do that with, but there's something magic with Richie Sambora. Richie Sambora, oh my God. What guys in the chat, what was that, the new song that Richie Sambora is called? Hold on, let me type it in. Richie Sambora, new song. Newest song, Born to Rock. Born to Rock. That song, Born to Rock, kicks ass. Kicks ass. That's what Bon Jovi needs to get back to. John needs to get back to. Even if John can never really tour again, get with Richie, make an album together, make a rock album. Yeah, what's funny, Red? I actually watched Young Guns 2 again last night. Yeah, Bon Jovi was in that one part from the where that underground thing. He got up and they shot, got killed, and fall back in the hole. Yeah, and all that. Oh yeah, guys, my good friend Danny Stanton went and saw Judas Priest and Alice Cooper, and he actually got to meet Alice Cooper. Isn't he a lucky son of a bitch? Because Alice Cooper, to me, is like a godfather of music. You know, Alice Cooper is just a fantastic, fantastic human being. You know, and thing is about Alice Cooper, he never makes excuses on any music genre that he was in from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. He appreciates everything he's gone through. That's what I love about Alice Cooper. I just wish I could kind of see the same thing through Jon. I notice when Jon does a lot of interviews, he does that fake smile on purpose, that, you know, he's that perfect guy and everything. So and all that. So guys, again, this is not a show that I'm bashing Jon. This was one of the most popular questions that I've always been getting about what's your opinion on Jon's, his album, did he turn his back? And I just wanted to do one live video and just hit it all here. So, and all that. So did he turn his back on hair metal? Yeah, he done that back in the 90s. Do I respect Jon as a businessman? You got it, 100%. He's a fantastic businessman. He's done great with his empire. Do I wish that he would suck up his pride and him and Richie Sambora get, you know, sit down and talk and get some magic on? Yes, I do. Because if Bon Jovi goes back on tour, I'm sorry to say, I'm not going to see them without Richie. I want to hear that Richie's voice on that stage, you know, and Richie can help Jon to hit those high notes that he can't hit no more. You know what I mean? So again, guys, welcome to the channel. This is your first time. All my people who are memberships, I want to thank you guys for sticking with me. I love you all. And I'm going to be doing a weekly live show every single week on Wednesday. And now, not next week, but the week after, I'm going to be in the mountains for like 2 weeks, doing a big mountain investigation. That's all I'm going to say. A big, huge investigation in the mountains that's going to be happening. But I'm going to try to do a live show out there, and I'm going to pick a subject that if you guys want me to talk about, email me at hairmetalrevolution@gmail.com. Hey, can you talk about this band? Can you talk about this band? You know, give me some information on why you want me to talk about them. We'll just come here. And the thing is about this channel here, I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I did actually had a record company call me up and say, hey, we want to actually ask me, they want to sponsor this channel. You know, we'll give you some interviews. And I'm not going to say the musician, but hey, we have this musician has a new album. Would you have him on your channel and, you know, talk about some good things about the album? And I said, I would love to interview him, but I can't say good things about the album because the album sucked. I told him that the album sucked. Well, I'll interview the guy, ask him questions, be more about his past, but, you know, I'll let him talk about his new album, but I can't give it my thumbs up when I thought the new album sucked. That's just who I am. I'm honest. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to have somebody on my channel just so I can promote their album when I don't think it's good. If it's an awesome album, I will promote it. I will give my thumbs up. So this company who was thinking about sponsoring left because I won't play ball with them. And I'm never going to do that, guys. I'm not going to play ball with the studio just so they can hear what they want. So I can tell people to buy something when it's not good. I will never do that to you. I would never, ever do that to you. This is an honest channel. Beyond that, I love you guys. And Jon, if you're listening to this, I respect you as a businessman. I respect you as a person, a family man. Whatever bygones you have with Richie or whatever is going on, get rid of it. Life is short. We're all close. We're all living closer to the grave. I hate to say it, but we are. You know, sometimes you got to say in life, shut the fuck up. Let's work together. Let's get this doing. Sometimes, give something back to the fans. And I'm talking about the modern day fans who don't even know true Bon Jovi. I'm talking about the fans that made you from the 80s. Those people, do something for us. Make us a rock album, get Richie, and just do something. Beyond that, I appreciate every single one of you guys who are here today. I love you all, and I'll see you here next week. Now today's Thursday, but I'll more likely do these live shows on Wednesday. Maybe I'll do a couple a week if it turns out good. Maybe we'll do a couple of weeks. So beyond that, I'll see you guys next time.